In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an automation that will transcribe YouTube videos simply by pasting a link into an Airtable database. It's a fairly straightforward build, and it can generate transcriptions from a bunch of different YouTube links you load in there all at one time. I think I put in about 120 different YouTube links to test it out running at once. So it can handle batch uploads of YouTube links to get all of those transcriptions at the same time. So before we get into the build, I just want to mention that I will have this available on my school community to download for free. My school community is called Digital Automation Diagram, and if you join, you'll not only have access to all of my templates and blueprints, but you'll have access to me one-on-one calls to help you out with your own automation builds or figuring out problems down the automation pipeline that you might be running into. I also host some automation tools that I've built up there for free. You can jump in there and just start using some of those free automations I have available. Go ahead, head over there, check out the community. Otherwise, let's get into the build. Okay, so we're going to be using a couple automation tools. If you guys already know what these tools are and already have them, you can skip this part of the video. Otherwise, if you're new to this stuff, I'll put the link to those tools you can use in the description of the video. First thing we're going to do is head over to my website, sleepyseamonster.com/digital toolbox. That'll bring you to the relevant webpage where you can find all the tools that I use. And we're just going to open up a couple different windows in my browser. The first one is going to be this tool called Make. I'll click on that one. And this tool called Airtable. Open up some new browser windows. So clicking over to make.com, you can create your free account to get started. I'm going to sign into my account, and here we are in my make.com dashboard. Over to the other tab and sign into my Airtable account. Again, you can create a free account with these two tools to get started. So I'm going to sign in to my account. The first thing I want to do is set up a workspace. This is a profile that you create inside of your Airtable account so you can have different workspaces do different things. So I'm just going to click into my Sleepy Sea Monster workspace, then come up to the top here to create a new base. Click Start from Scratch. And when you open up a new Airtable base, it's going to come up with a bunch of default stuff here. We can actually come over here to close that down. And the first thing I like to do is delete out these default fields to start off with a completely blank base. I'm going to highlight these three fields, right click and delete the three fields. Next thing I'm going to do is name the base YouTube transcription demo. You can also change the color. Double click on this table name and name this table YouTube link drop. This is where we'll actually be dropping the YouTube links. And this grid view can be called all data. I'm just double clicking on this stuff to rename it. And now we have our blank Airtable base set up and ready to go. In this first field, this is a primary field. We have some limited options with what we can do with this field. So I'm just going to turn it into an ID field. It's a common thing I like to do. Again, double clicking on this stuff to rename it. I'm also going to change the type of field from single line text. Click in there and change it to auto number. This is simply going to keep track of new records that come in here. Since we can't really do much with this primary field anyway, we'll just keep it for record purposes. So we're going to click this plus a bunch of times to create some new fields in here. So stick with me on this. I'm going to hit the plus to create a new field. This first field is going to be where we paste the YouTube links. Now, we could use a URL here. Typically, this is the type of field that we'd want for pasting links, but I use a long text just because we can expand out this field and see the long text that might be hidden. So this will be our YouTube link field where we paste those links. Click the plus to create a new field, and the next few fields will be the YouTube detail information. So this one is going to be an attachment field. This will be the thumbnail of the video so we can keep track of our records. I'll click create field or hit enter on the keyboard. Click the plus, create a new field. This one can be a single line text, and we'll name this one channel name. Create the field or hit enter on the keyboard. Click the plus, create a new field. This will be the video title, and this can be a single line text. Create the field, click the plus, create a new field. This will be a long text, and we'll call this one summary or video summary. Create the field, click the plus to create a new field. This will be long text, and this will be the transcription. And create that field. Then we need to create some linked fields in here, but we don't have the information to actually make those linked records. So let's just make one more field here. Let's click the plus. This one is going to be the record ID, and it is a formula field. In this box down here, we want to type in the formula, and if we just start typing REC, that'll come up with the record ID function right here. Click on that, and then be sure to type in the second parenthesis there to finish off this built-in function, and we can create the field. Now what that function does in this field here is it calculates the record ID for each individual record without us having to go fetch it and look it up. For building the automations, we sometimes just need to copy and paste the record ID to get stuff built out. Now that's all we can do in this table for now, but let's actually come over here. I'm going to click these checkboxes and delete these two records so that we just have our first record in here for testing later on. I'm going to come up to this plus, click that, click start from scratch. This will create a new table. We'll call this table keywords. This table will store a bunch of keywords that get extracted from the actual YouTube video. So you'll have reference to keywords and store them in this table. So same thing as before, I'm going to highlight these three fields, right click and delete them. Starting off with a blank table here. I'll double click on this view and rename it to keywords, and then I'll double click this primary field and name it to keyword, just keeping everything labeled. Best practices, sometimes when you're building out automations and you're trying to reference certain items and it's named improperly, it's going to give you a bad time. So where we are here, this table will store all of the keywords extracted, and so we can just leave it at that. I'm going to come back up here, click on YouTube, link drop, and now we can create a new field and link to those records. So I'll click the plus, call this again keywords, and this will be a link to another record, and we'll link to the keywords table, then create the field. Now we want to add lookup fields. I'll add the field. Let's go back into the keywords table, and we can see that it's created that link. This is the same link record here to the YouTube link drop table. I'm going to right click on that, hide the field. We don't actually need to see it. So now that we got everything built out in Airtable, we can head over to make.com. We're going to build out the make.com scenario, and alternatively, you can head over to my school community digital automation diagram where I have this scenario blueprint available to download for free. You can just download it from there and pop it open in your make.com account and just start using it right away without having to build it from scratch. I will also have this automation available to run and use for free inside of my school community. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to learn any of this, I don't want to build any of this, I just want to get my YouTube videos transcribed, well, I am running that automation for you. You can just pop over into my school community and run the automation for your own work and your own projects. So check it out. For now, we're going to dive into this scenario build. So I am here in my dashboard. I'm going to come up to the top here and click create new scenario. Just as before, staying organized straight away, I'm going to come over here and name my scenario YouTube transcription demo. You can name it whatever you want, and click the big plus to create the first module in Make. The first module, anything you want to find here, we can type in the search bar and it'll bring it up. The first one is going to be Airtable. We want this module right here, watch responses. Click on that. This is a webhook for Airtable, so we're going to create a new webhook. Click add, name it whatever you want. Click save, click OK, and come down here to save the scenario. There we go. So we have our first module set up. You can click and drag around so we can visualize this automation chain. I'm going to come over here, click the plus to create a new module. The next module is going to be Airtable to get a record. Now I need to set up a connection to Airtable inside of make.com. So we're going to click add. For connection type, it's Airtable OAuth. can name the connection type. This is YouTube transcription demo. You can name it whatever you want. Then click save. It's going to ask you to authorize and grant access. So click add base. Find your Airtable base. Mine is here, YouTube transcription demo. Click grant access, and that'll pop up our new connection to Airtable right here. Now we can choose a base. We're going to choose that base, and we can choose a table. We're going to choose the YouTube link drop table and the record ID we need to get from Airtable. So for now, just type in a couple numbers here for a default record ID just so we can save this module. Click OK. And now we need to get back into Airtable to create an automation and grab that record ID. So I'm going to head back to Airtable and come up to the automations tab. Click add trigger when a record matches conditions. And this will start off an automation in Airtable. So we need to rename this automation, call it trigger automation chain. Now we can put in some conditions here. When a record matches conditions, we need to select the table that we are looking at. So select the YouTube link drop table. When the conditions, add a condition. The condition is when, click this here, YouTube link is, click this here, is not empty. So in the YouTube link drop table, the condition is when YouTube link field is not empty, this will trigger this automation chain. Okay, so when the record matches conditions, we can add an action down here, and the action is going to be run a script. Don't have to know anything about scripting. ChatGPT is your friend, but I'll paste in here the script that we're going to be using. Okay, and you want to copy this script here. Now you can type it out in here just like that, or if you're like me and you hate typing stuff out, you can take a screenshot of this code, come over to ChatGPT, and load that screenshot into ChatGPT and say something like, please write out this script. There we go, perfectly written out. I'm going to copy the code, come back into Airtable, and I can paste that code just like that. There it is again. So now we need to add some of these variables, and the variables are here underlined with this red squiggly. So I'm going to add an input variable over here, click that, and copy these variable names. This one, webhook URL, copy that, paste it into the name section here. Going to add another input variable and copy this record ID variable and paste it into the name section right there. Now for the webhook value, we need to get that from the make scenario. For the record ID value, we're just going to click on this plus right here and come down to Airtable record ID. Let's jump over to make and check out our scenario. If we click on this first module, we can see that webhook that we need to copy and paste right here. So I'm going to click this button to copy, click cancel or OK, jump back over to Airtable and paste that webhook in the value right here. Okay, that's it for the script. Come up to finish editing and flip on this automation. Let's come back into the data and jump back over to make.com, finish out this scenario. As we go, we need to sort of trigger the automation so that it gathers data and pulls it through for testing and completion of the automation. So I'm going to do that now. Right click on this first module, say run this module only. Then we need to jump back into Airtable to trigger that. Okay, so if you remember our Airtable automation, when the YouTube link is not empty, it's going to trigger and send that information to the webhook. So we can type in anything right here just to trigger the automation. Now the YouTube link is not empty, and it will trigger our make automation. Let's head back into make, and we can see it triggered the automation. Let's click on this module and fix our record ID. I'll delete this out, and we see now we can pull in that record ID from that first module. This one will kind of bounce and bobble saying, yep, that is me, that's my information. Grab that right there. I'll click on that and click OK. Let's click the plus, create a new module. This is where the no code, low code stuff gets a bit tricky to beginners, but I'm going to grab a built-in tool here. Just type in the search bar text. That'll pop up the text parser. In the text parser, we want this one to match pattern, and we're going to type in a special code here that's going to look for YouTube links and be able to decide what to do with those links. Don't have to know any of this stuff, just paste in what I have here. You can always ask ChatGPT about these regular expressions. That's all I did to find this one is I said, write out a regular expression to get YouTube links and let me transcribe them, something like that, right? And so ChatGPT gave me this regular expression. I'm going to paste this into an area that you can see so you can copy it. Let me jump back over to Airtable real quick and I'll paste this regular expression right here. Go ahead, take a screenshot of that and send it over to ChatGPT or pause the video and type out this regular expression into that text parser field. All right, I'll delete that back out, jump back into make. We have our regular expression. We're going to be looking for that pattern. Let's say global match, yes. And for the text we want to look for the YouTube link. So this is going to come up with some options from our other two modules, our previous modules. And so the module here has that record. This is our Airtable YouTube drop table, and we can see that one has the YouTube link information. So that is the text that we are looking for, the actual YouTube link. So I'm going to click on that, click OK, and save my scenario. It's going to give you a warning here. Click Save Anyway. I'm going to now click the plus, create a new module. I type in the search bar tool to find the built-in tools module. This one will be set a variable name. We can name it whatever we want. I'm going to name it YouTube link, and the variable value will be from our text parser. We want this $1. Again, regular expressions and matching patterns, all that stuff. Take a little bit of research to figure out what it all means, but we can just select that one and click OK. Click the plus, add a new module, and we're going to add a special tool. We're going to add a router. So we're going to get into the flow control, or it's up here in the corner, this top one for router. This will split our operation into two different routes. For this first one, click the big plus to add a module. It's going to be HTTP. You can type in HTTP, and we want make a request module. So this module lets you make API calls to apps and services that make.com doesn't have a special custom module built into it. So follow along with these steps pretty closely. All the stuff must be entered in here exactly. So we're going to use Rapid API. I'm going to jump over to Rapid API here. This is my account. You can sign up for free and use a bunch of different APIs. You will end up needing to subscribe to different APIs. However, most of these subscriptions have a free plan. I'm not paying anything for Rapid API, and I'm not paying anything for these two subscriptions. Once you're here in your dashboard, we can come up here to search APIs, just type in YouTube, and we have this first one, YT API, created by this person right here, and you will need to subscribe to this API. But again, this one has a free plan that gives you plenty of operations. So we're going to be using this one. Okay. So over here, all these endpoints, these are the things that we can do. We come into the video section here. We can find the video details. That's what we need. And we also need the subtitles that will get compiled into the full transcription. So we need these video details and these subtitles. So I'm going to first click on the video details here. That's going to change our endpoint. Don't have to know anything about making API calls. We just need this URL and these two headers. For the sake of the video and having to blur out this information, I'm going to copy everything at once, head back into Make, and paste it all in there for you. Copy this URL in between the apostrophes, copy this header, the x-rapid API-host header separately, and this information separately, the Rapid API key header and the actual key itself, mine is blurred out, separately. So copy, let's paste it all into Make, and we can take a look at what we have. Okay, back in Make, I pasted in the relevant information. The URL from Rapid API is going to get pasted right here. The headers, we're going to expand these headers, click the plus, and for this first item 1, for the name, we add the Rapid API key header. For the value, your actual API key, and then click the plus to add another header, and that is going to be this Rapid API host header with this value here, all listed there in Rapid API. We're just copy and pasting that information into make.com. So now what we're going to do is actually give the dynamic YouTube link ID that we want. What we have here is the URL that's going to grab the video details from this ID. In here is a default ID. So we want to delete everything after this ID equals. This is a default dummy ID, and we want to add in my YouTube link. That's what we're going to be using. Okay, scroll down. We want to click this. Parse response is yes, and click OK. All right, now while we're here in this second route, this HTTP module, let's go ahead and right click on it, click rename and say get details. Right click on this module again, clone it and actually drop it down here into the router. Right click on this blank one to delete that blank one. So we have a copy of this module right here. Right click on this module to rename it. We'll rename it get subtitles. Now we need to get the endpoint that's going to get us those subtitles. So let's jump over to Rapid API, and we want to come over here to this endpoint to get subtitles. I'll click on that one. Now we have this URL to get subtitles, and we're going to do the same thing. Copy this URL, everything except the dummy ID right here. Copy that, head back into Make. Let's open up this module, paste that URL, and we can click OK. Now for this first route, I'm going to create a new module. It's going to be Airtable, and we want to update a record. We're going to choose a connection, and it's going to be that same Airtable connection. When you click on it, it's going to tell you to update your connection permissions. We're only working with half the permissions right now. Click continue, add a base, find your base. Mine is here, grant access. Okay, then we can choose the base, choose the table we want to update, YouTube link drop, and we can put in this information. So for the record ID, it's the same record ID that we started with. So I'm going to grab that record ID. Now we have this module set up, but we're not getting any information because we have to run this module to actually pull that information about a YouTube link. So I'm going to come down, click OK, click save, and let's grab a YouTube link. All right, I went and found a YouTube link. We're going to run this. Come over here to run once, click that button, and now this automation is running. So let's jump into Airtable, and in the YouTube link field, I'll delete out those numbers and paste in my YouTube link. Okay, jump back over to Make. We can watch this automation run through really quickly. All these little number ones, meaning we have one bundle of data that's going through all successfully all the way down to the end. Now we can click on this Airtable module and get that information from Rapid API to insert in here. Okay, let's skip thumbnail for now. For the channel name, click in here. I can find channel name. Here it is, channel title. Enter that in. Video title. Let's find the video title is the title here. For the thumbnail, we're going to click add item to drop this down. Then in the file URL, we could find the thumbnail here. Click this little arrow to drop it down, and we want that file URL right there. Cool, so that gets us our video details. Let's click OK. Click run once, one more time, and I'm going to come back into Airtable, delete out that YouTube link, pop it back in there, and watch this automation run through again. There we go, all of the information from that YouTube video. Okay, so I want to see this information a little bit bigger, a little bit more in my line of sight. So I'm going to come to this button, change the row height to, let's just say tall for now, and we have a better visual of this information. So this is my last video on how to automate Instagram posts. It's got the video title correctly, it's got the channel name correctly, and it's got the thumbnail in there correctly. So looks good. Next, we need to get the summary and the transcription. So that is that second API call, that second route in make.com. Let's jump back over there. And since we had this already run through, we have this information ready to go for us. We can create these other modules. Now, this one's going to be a lot more complex. I'm just going to run through it. You can follow along to get this one done. We're going to add a second HTTP module to make a request, and we're going to request from this other module. For the URL, we want to request the subtitles URL. So we're going to drop down subtitles, click on URL. Then down here for the body type, we're going to choose raw. Content type is XML text XML and click OK. Click the plus here, add another module, and I'll type in text. We're going to use the text parser again, the text parser to match pattern, and you can copy this pattern here like that. I'll say global match, yes, and the text we want is the data from the last HTTP module. So I'll click that, click OK. I'll click the plus, create a new module, type in tool for the tools, and we're going to use the text aggregator. For the source module, it's going to be the text parser, and the text is going to be that same $1. Okay, click the plus, create a new module. Now I'm going to put a router here just so we can create a couple different options for you in this build. Okay, I'm going to pop over to my other project just to explain what this is actually going to look like. So this is my working YouTube transcription scenario, and this is the router we just inserted, and I have these two routes working in the exact same way. Now this top route is going to use ChatGPT to convert the subtitle data information into a plain text transcription, and then we upload all that information to Airtable. This one down here is going to be much faster. It's going to perform much faster. This one takes about, I don't know, a minute to complete, maybe 2 minutes to complete. This one takes, less than 30 seconds to complete, and it is the HTML of the transcription from YouTube. So if you don't need plain text, using ChatGPT to convert that HTML and just want that transcription in HTML, we can use this route. If you do want plain text, we can use this route. I'm going to start off with making the HTML route, then we can copy that and add in this module right here to make the plain text route if you want. So I'm going to jump back over and create a new module. Type down here in the tools, we're going to set a variable. This will be transcription, and for the value, it's going to be the text coming from the text aggregator. Click OK, click the plus. This one, type in tools. We're going to add sleep, a delay of maybe 6 seconds. For this next module, click the plus. We're going to find ChatGPT. You can type in ChatGPT. We'll use the OpenAI ChatGPT module to create a completion. Now you're going to need to set up your connection for ChatGPT. This is a little bit more involved than setting up your Airtable connection, so you can read the online help here. Click this button to add a connection, read the online help, and get your ChatGPT connection set up. Otherwise, you can jump in the school community. I have all of these supplementary, smaller tutorial videos on how to set up connections and integrate stuff into your own workflow. I have all these tutorial videos up over there. You can take a look at setting up ChatGPT or Google Drive or Facebook, things like that. So jump over there to watch that tutorial and get that connection set up. Once we're here, we can choose a model. The model we're going to use is the 4.0 mini, and for the max completion tokens, I'll just leave it blank. We're going to use the maximum amount. All right, I'll need to add some messages in here now, and these messages behave just like if you were having a conversation with ChatGPT. We have the role of the system, the user, and the assistant, and we can play any of those roles in this module. Okay, so for the first message, we're going to take on the role of the user, and we're going to give ChatGPT the information. We're going to say, use this text, and I'm going to put this in quotes. You'll see why in a moment. The text we're going to use is the transcription. We want to take that transcription and write a summary from it. Now, add a message. This will be the role of the assistant. Now we're giving ChatGPT assistant instructions. We're going to copy in another prompt right here. Okay, and you can copy this text. Let me blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. Copy that. Great. Come down, click OK. We can rename this something like summary. Click the plus, create a new module. It's going to be ChatGPT, create a completion. We're going to use that same connection. And for the model, we're going to use the same 4.0 mini. For completion tokens, I'll delete that out. And now we can add some messages. So for the first message, we'll take on the role of the user. We'll add the transcription inside of quotes, then add a message, take on the role of the assistant, and we'll paste in this prompt here. There we go. Click OK. Let's right click on this module, rename it, keywords, and finally we can click the plus to add a new module. This will be Airtable, update a record. We want to make sure we're using our same connection. Choose the base, choose the table, YouTube link drop. Record ID is that same record ID all the way down at the beginning. Now we can update the information that we just got. We got the summary, we got the keywords, and we've got the transcription. So let's add in the summary. That is going to be from the ChatGPT summary, the result. The transcription is going to be the transcription, and the keywords we're going to map in here with a special function. So let's click this button to map the keywords, and we'll type in split open parentheses. That's going to automatically come up with a function. Don't have to know what this means. Just enter in the keyword result, followed by a semicolon, followed by a comma, followed by close parentheses. We can kind of see the structure. Okay, then click Smart Links, yes, and click OK. Great, so that sets up this complete automation. We have this optional chain here to do a plain text transcription, but let's go ahead and give this a test. I'll come down, click save, click run once, jump back into Airtable, delete out this entire record, then paste back in that YouTube link, jump over to make, and we can watch this run through. It's going to start, run all the way through super fast. We got the details. We already hit the sleep timer of 6 seconds, and now we're writing the summary, gathering the keywords, and finished. So that's, you can see how fast that was. You can load in, 100 YouTube links at a time, and it's going to go that fast and gather all that information. Again, this route with writing the plain text transcription takes significantly longer per YouTube link, but I will get that one in there for you. Let's take a look at what happened here. We got back the thumbnail, channel name, title, and now we have the summary. Very short, concise summary. Introduction of a fully automated Instagram assistant to manage content, captions, and hashtags. AI-generated captions based on description and images, right? It's just giving a very to the point breakdown of this entire video so you can look at that video at a glance. And now we have the HTML transcription. You can see right away we have some of that HTML coding formatting in here for certain punctuation and stuff, and no line breaks or capitalization or anything like that. This is all of the transcription. However, it's just not formatted in a nice looking way. You could copy and paste this right here into ChatGPT and say, write this as plain text or something like that, and it'll write this one out in nice plain text for you. So that's essentially what we're going to do in the next module. If we want to turn this HTML transcript into nice plain text, we're just going to run that ChatGPT module to do that for us. Let's take a look at the keywords here, what got generated. So you see the linked keywords, and then you see the keywords with the comma separation. So this is just a preference thing. If you want to view the linked keywords versus that lookup table that we added early on to see the keywords in this format, I personally like seeing the keywords as links like this, and so I can just hide this. And if we check the keywords table, we can see we have the list of keywords that got generated. These 3 fields were from the initial setup. This one is the one that I typed in here, and these 2 fields were blank. So if I just delete these 3 default fields, we actually have these 5 keywords that got generated and inserted appropriately from the video. In fact, the video is about Instagram automation, content, captions, and hashtags. So every time you add a video, it's going to populate this list. This list will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what we actually want to do is organize this content into niche related content or not. Okay. So we're going to add a new field in here, call it yes or go or good or something, whatever you want. It's going to be a checkbox, and I like my checkbox style to be this little thumbs up. Create the field, and now we can say yes, this is a part of my niche, or leave it unchecked. No, this is not a part of my niche. Okay, so I'll just say captions and hashtags, sure, but not necessarily a part of my niche. Instagram automation and content, yes. So we can now create a new view to filter and view this information. Let's go ahead, come over here. We have our keywords view. We're going to create a new grid view. Call it irrelevant keywords, whatever you want. Okay, and we can see all of the same information from our keywords view. We just have the one hidden field, which is the YouTube link drop. Let's come into the irrelevant keywords. We can see that YouTube link drop. Right click on it, hide the field, and now we can filter by our little check mark here what words we want to see in these views. So these keywords, we only want to see the relevant keywords and not the irrelevant ones. So I'm going to click on filter and choose a condition where yes is checked. That'll only show our relevant keywords. Likewise, come into irrelevant keywords, click on filter, add a condition where yes is not checked. And now we're showing our irrelevant keywords in this view. Lastly here, just for organization, I want to come up to sort by keyword. This will be alphabetical order. Same thing in keywords. Come up to sort by keyword, alphabetical order. Looks good. And now we have organization of our keywords that we can use with our transcriptions in whatever way that we want, whatever projects you got going on. Cool. So let me show you that last module we need for that secondary plain text transcription route. I'm going to come back into make and just hold shift on the keyboard and drag a box around all of these modules, copy and paste all of these modules so we have the same ones popping up. Now I'm going to stick this down here, so I'm going to right click on this blank module, delete the module, and then grab the little toggle and drag it down, stick it to my router. Okay, come down and click the magic align button. That'll align everything up, and we have two exact copies of the same route. So we're going to change whichever one you like. I'll go ahead and change this top one here to be our secondary plain text route. So just changing up a few things. We're going to remove this sleep timer module, right click on it, delete module, and insert that ChatGPT module here into this route. So I'll right click on this route itself, click add a module. It's going to be ChatGPT. Create a completion, choose the model 40 mini max completion tokens. We can leave empty, and we'll add a message in the role of the user, the text content. We'll put in quotes the text, then we'll add a message in the role of the assistant and copy this text right here. Okay, once you have that text copied in, we'll come down, hit OK. We'll come into this tools module, click on that, and we'll change this text to the result from the ChatGPT module. Click OK. All right, and there is the full automation with the two routes now for the transcription options. Both of these are currently simultaneously running and will sort of override each other, and we don't need that. So we want to disable one of these routes. We know this HTML route works. Just click on the little wrench here on this route, disable route, and now when it runs through, it's only going to run down the available routes. So we'll test out this one here. Going to click save, click run once, come back into Airtable, copy my YouTube link, delete out all of this information, and then I'll paste in my YouTube link. Jump back into make. We can watch this run through. It's waiting for that webhook. Quickly get the details, the transcription, and now we've hit that plain text module. You can see how long this one is going to take to write out that transcription. Okay, and we're back. That took about 3.5 minutes to write out that transcription, and then another second to upload it. So this video, let's take a look at Airtable. This video is actually 1 hour and 20 minutes long. So it wrote out that 1 hour and 20 minute transcript in beautiful plain text. It added in all the proper punctuation, spaced everything properly, wrote out a really nice looking transcription from 1 hour and 20 minute long video in about 3 minutes. It wrote it out in about 3 minutes, right? So those two options are there for you. This one is fully working, and that is it. So that's it for this one. Congratulations on your new YouTube transcription tool. Let me know how you guys use this thing. Again, if you feel like you might be struggling with the automation, building any of this stuff out, feel free to join the community and schedule a one-on-one call with me so I can help you out with any of the issues that come along putting this stuff together. And I have the link for my community digital automation diagram down in the description of this video, so you can check it out from there. You can always message me, and I'm always interested in checking out new content and see what you guys are doing with these automations. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.